Ever since movies have been invented, filmmakers have always tried to find shortcuts. For example, for many years, filmmakers would often use matte paintings as optical illusions to convey size or depth in a shot. Nowadays, it seems that the newest shortcut that filmmakers have been taking has been with the use of CGI. CGI, or computer-generated imagery, is the use of computers to enhance shots, create scenery, or sometimes generate fully animated models in movies and TV shows. CGI is a very controversial subject in the filmmaking world, so of course, I'm going to throw my opinion into the loop. In today's video, I give you my issues with CGI in media. For this video, I'd like to start off with CGI in live-action movies, as it's what most people will be able to relate to. When it comes to the use of CGI, I stand on the naysayer side of the argument. I genuinely think that almost all things that are done digitally nowadays can be done practically, meaning done with makeup, props, and sets. For example, take a look at this scene from Spider-Man Far From Home. Not too bad, right? Looks pretty good actually, I'll admit it. But something about it just makes it seem so fake. And that's because it is. Spider-Man, the bridge, the drones, it's all made through digital effects. Now take a look at Spider-Man 3 from 2007. Not everyone's favorite film, but what if I told you that the director of this film, Sam Raimi, went through a dozen different types of sand in order to find the best one for the film? What if I told you that the Mad Lad actually built a giant controllable set to film this final action sequence? For a majority of films, practical effects can be used to bring scenes back down to realism. Look, I'm not going to sit here and make the claim that all CGI is bad. Take a look at Thanos from Avengers Infinity War. Thanos is the best digital character of all time. You can see the pores of his skin stretch as he expresses emotions. You can even see the stubble coming out of his chin. 30 years ago, they would have just painted Josh Brolin purple and called it a day. But the visual effects team took the time to make Thanos a real and believable character. Then you switch over to Dwayne Johnson from The Mummy Returns and you have a whole different story. The use of CGI is just straight up lazy a lot of the time, as it takes far less time and people to pay than it would to make the scenes practically. But let me make this perfectly clear. The use of CGI doesn't always equal laziness. For examples of this, I want to switch over to the next part of this video, in which I'll talk about the use of CGI in animated films and shows. Honestly, I think I'm far more accepting of CGI in animation than I am with live-action movies and TV shows, and I think it comes down to how much more effort is put into animation when digital effects are used. For example, take a look at Attack on Titan. This show has some of the best and most detailed 3D animation, seen in these sequences where the soldiers are using their maneuver gear around the cities. As an example, take a look at this scene from season 3 of the show. In this scene, we see a character made using hand-drawn 2D animation traversing a 3D CGI environment, seen with the wall, smoke, and buildings being three-dimensional. This creates a perfect sense of scale, which goes along perfectly with the grandiose movements of the beautifully hand-animated character. And I'd be remiss not to mention Demon Slayer, which has some of the best CGI mixed with hand-drawn animation I've ever seen. It perfectly uses 3D environments to bring scenes to the next level. From these two examples, I think it's pretty clear that when used correctly, CGI can be used alongside animation to enhance a scene. However, when used incorrectly, you get The Legend of Korra. Look, this show has some gorgeous animation, but anytime there is a vehicle or device of some kind, it's always the ugliest, low-effort CGI out there. I mean, come on, this is gross. They easily could have hand-animated this. This type of work can be seen in all kinds of shows, and I'm honestly so sick of this over-reliance on digital effects. This kind of thing can be fixed by taking the time to draw on top of the 3D models, which can be seen in Dragon Ball Super Broly. In this movie, there are fully 3D models used to make the fight scenes easier to make. Honestly, I hate this a lot, but they're acceptable because the animators went frame by frame and drew on top of the models to make them look fine, I guess. But if they didn't take the time to do this, you would get this abomination. This is just bad. The range of this is just rough, man. I mean, they'll go from having super well animated shots to this shit. And I'm barely scratching the surface on how CGI is used in the media. But to wrap things up a bit, I just want to summarize my feelings on the subject. When it comes to CGI in live-action films and shows, I think it's generally not a bad idea if it's done correctly and given the proper time. For example, Tony Stark's suit in the original Iron Man movie uses a mix of practical pieces and digital enhancements. When it comes to animation, I mostly think that you should strive to maintain the same style across the show. But if you really put in the time, CGI can be used to take animation to the next level, such as with Attack on Titan. Honestly, as filmmakers get more and more comfortable with the use of CGI, I'm really hoping that some of the flaws discussed in this video won't be as prominent. But I guess we just have to wait and see how film changes over the next few years. Thanks for watching this video. I wanted to try out a different format where I'm gonna write these scripts to be more like how I talk rather than limit myself with the essay way of talking. If you want to support me and help me make more videos, I'd really appreciate it if you can leave me a comment and let me know what parts of the video you did and didn't like. Feel free to just rip on me, I can take it. Well, that's it. Have a good one.